Around 14,000 years ago, one young dog was buried beside two humans. That grave was discovered near Bonn, in present-day Germany. Its bones suggest humans cared for it during a serious illness. Scientists debate the details, yet prolonged care remains a strong possibility. Helping a sick animal required time, food, and patience. Why would Ice Age people invest precious resources into such an animal? The obvious answer seems surprisingly incomplete. No single discovery reveals the exact birth of the first dog. Instead, researchers uncover scattered clues across thousands of years. So, where did wolves truly become dogs? Nobody knows one exact place, date, or moment. Modern dogs descend from ancient wolf populations rather than one famous individual. The exact pathway remains one of archaeology's biggest unresolved questions. However, several ideas fit the available evidence remarkably well. The strongest explanation begins beside ordinary prehistoric camps. Daily survival created opportunities that nobody intentionally designed. To understand why, look at the camp's forgotten leftovers. Food scraps rewarded wolves that feared humans a little less. Most wolves probably kept their distance anyway. Small behavioral differences sometimes change survival over many generations. Inherited behavior means offspring often resemble their parents' tendencies. That gradual selection can reshape an entire population. Behavior often changes before visible appearance does. That detail helps explain why the earliest evidence looks confusing. However, food alone cannot explain the growing partnership. Watchful animals could notice danger before sleeping humans did. Even a few extra warning seconds might save lives. Humans also noticed animals that reacted before they did. Useful neighbors became tolerated neighbors. A relationship built through repeated choices can become surprisingly stable. Cooperation likely emerged through countless ordinary encounters, rather than one dramatic event. Some younger wolves may have adapted especially well to human presence. People could have socialized certain pups, although this was probably not the only pathway. Researchers cannot prove that every early dog began as a raised puppy. Different regions may even have followed somewhat different histories. That uncertainty is an important part of the scientific story. Even without certainty, the overall pattern makes practical sense. Shared routines slowly replaced constant suspicion. What happened once animals regularly remained near human camps? Reliable companions could improve hunting without speaking a single word. Tracking means following scent left behind by a moving animal. A better hunt meant more food for both species. The partnership rewarded behavior that benefited everyone involved. Generations of selection gradually strengthened those useful behaviors. Stress responses also changed over many generations. Lower stress allowed closer daily contact without constant conflict. Communication became increasingly important as cooperation expanded. Modern dogs read many human gestures better than wolves usually do. Exactly when that ability emerged remains uncertain. However, today's evidence suggests communication evolved gradually. The growing relationship reshaped everyday camp life. Children likely encountered familiar animals more often than fearful wolves. Repeated peaceful contact reinforced trust on both sides. Trust did not remove every conflict or every wild instinct. Eventually, these companions began traveling wherever people traveled. Hunter-gatherers carried more than tools, memories, and traditions. Dogs spread because human communities spread. Each migration created fresh opportunities for continued selection. Different environments favored somewhat different strengths over time. Those differences gradually accumulated into remarkable diversity. Yet every early dog still carried the legacy of ancient wolves. Domestication changed populations across generations instead of transforming individual adults. That distinction prevents a common misunderstanding about the first dogs. Nobody simply captured one adult wolf and turned it into every modern dog. Instead, evolution rewarded inherited behaviors that fit life beside humans. Those inherited differences accumulated almost invisibly at first. However, invisible changes eventually produced visible consequences. The relationship had become part of everyday human movement. Soon that partnership would influence far more than successful hunting. The story was quietly becoming part of human civilization itself. What else changed as this partnership deepened across thousands of years? Selection gradually influenced bodies as well as behavior. Different communities eventually favored different practical abilities. Those abilities reflected local needs more than universal rules. Later societies expanded those differences into specialized working roles. Those later developments came long after domestication had already begun. The earliest partnership remained rooted in everyday survival. Emotional attachment likely strengthened alongside practical usefulness. Burials suggest some animals eventually held special personal meaning. Not every community necessarily treated dogs in exactly the same way. Archaeology reveals patterns rather than complete personal stories. Each new discovery answers one question while raising another. Scientific understanding grows by testing competing explanations against evidence. That careful approach keeps old mysteries surprisingly alive. Even today, researchers continue searching for earlier clues. New dating methods sometimes refine old interpretations, yet the central mystery remains remarkably resilient. Perhaps that uncertainty makes the story even more fascinating. One certainty remains that humans and dogs changed each other forever. That shared history still shapes ordinary life around the world today. Modern dogs still carry echoes of that ancient partnership every single day. Many dogs naturally watch human faces for useful information. They often respond to pointing gestures with remarkable accuracy. That ability probably emerged through long-term selection instead of sudden invention. Dogs now assist people in countless roles unimaginable during the Ice Age. Those specialized jobs rest upon much older behavioral foundations. Every breed ultimately traces back to ancient wolf populations. Selective breeding later expanded diversity far beyond the earliest dogs. Yet none of those later changes erase the deeper evolutionary story. Humans also changed because reliable animal partners expanded new possibilities. Partnership reshaped movement, security, work, and everyday relationships. Still, researchers continue debating exactly where domestication first began. Future discoveries may refine today's best explanation. However, uncertainty should not be mistaken for ignorance. Evidence can reveal strong patterns without answering every detail. That brings us back to the grave at Bonn. Its quiet message reaches across 14,000 years. The illness may indicate sustained human care, although details remain debated. Whatever the exact story, the burial reflects an unusually close relationship. A former wild lineage had become part of human life. The first dog was probably never just one dog. Sometimes history begins with countless quiet choices.